So we learned over the weekend that the DNC basically rigged the primary against Bernie Sanders and supported Hillary the entire time. Well, as a result of that, Debbie Wasserman Schultz is now out, and Democrats couldn't risk bringing her out at the DNC because she would get booed. They had her at a little side event, and it was wall-to-wall boos, and it was a disaster. So they realized, top Democratic officials realized, even though we want her to speak, and even though we want to be loyal to her, because she did our bidding all along, well, I mean, we can't do it. She's too toxic at this point. Way too toxic. So, how does Hillary respond to this? Now, one would think, okay, you have a leader, the head of the DNC, who is just outwardly biased against Bernie Sanders. That's what these emails prove. While saying, I'm neutral, she's behind the scenes pulling strings. And she's behind the scenes leaking stories to the press that paint Hillary Clinton in a wonderful way and put down Bernie Sanders. DNC officials tried to atheist shame Bernie Sanders in West Virginia and Kentucky to try to get Hillary to win. There's a million of these leaks. So you would think Hillary would go, okay, I'm not stupid. So I get it. Hey, I love Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She's a personal friend of mine. She used to work for me back in the day. She's the head of the DNC and was working for me there too. But, okay, I get it. I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to put up my middle finger to half the fucking Democratic Party that supported Bernie Sanders. I got to let her go. Instead, what does she do? Listen to her statement. Quote, "There's simply no one better at taking the fight to the Republicans than Debbie, which is why I am glad to say that she has agreed to serve as honorary chair of my campaign's 50-state program to gain ground and elect Democrats in every part of the country, and will continue to serve as a surrogate for my campaign nationally in Florida and in other key states." She released this statement the day that Debbie Wasserman Schultz had to step down and had to say, okay, you know what? I'm not going to be the head of the DNC anymore. I'm not going to speak at the DNC. I'm not even going to gavel in and gavel out. Because even the gaveling in and gaveling out would lead to a chorus of boos. So the day that everybody realizes so immensely toxic, got to keep her off the stage, can't go on the stage for even a split second, Hillary Clinton's like, oh yeah? Here are my thoughts on the matter. I'm hiring her to do more work for me. See, this is what I mean. Guys, Hillary's basically doing everything she can to ensure that Donald Trump wins this general election. I know you guys are like, that's fucking crazy. What are you talking about, man? What are you talking about? Look at all the decisions that she's making. It's beyond ridiculous. Now, I don't think she's doing it because she legitimately wants Donald Trump to be president. Everybody knows she wants to be president, and she wants it more than anybody ever. But her political instincts are just, honestly, the worst I've ever seen. So, she picks Tim Kaine for VP. That's another example. Why did she pick Tim Kaine? I'm not kidding when I say her and her staff thought, he's a white male. Hillary does poorly with white males. If we pick a white male, maybe we'll get more white males. That was the extent of their logic. Now, why is that such a disastrous pick? Tim Kaine is a conservative Democrat. He's not a liberal. He's not a progressive. He's a conservative Democrat. He's for fast track of TPP. He's for bank deregulation. He's open to cutting Social Security. On foreign policy, there's very little information out there about him, but chances are he's a Mr. Me Too to hawkish Hillary Clinton. So, let me get this straight. You pick a conservative Democrat, and you're running like it's 1992 and establishment centrism is popular. It's not fucking popular. Why do you think Bernie Sanders did so well? Nobody knew who the fuck he was. He almost got half the vote in the primary, out of nowhere. You had name recognition. You were an A-list celebrity from day one. He still almost beat you. Donald Trump won on the Republican side. Why? Because everybody wants to hear a populist message. We're tired of the bullshit free trade agreements. They're not free trade. They're just outsourcing deals. That's what they are. We're tired of the money in politics. So who did Hillary Clinton need to do well with in order to win the general? She has to do well with millennials who loved Bernie Sanders, and she has to do well with left independents. So this idea of like moderate independents, that's not really a thing. The overwhelming majority of independents are either right partisans or left partisans. They just call themselves independent. But instead of trying to court left independents, who she had a shot with if she did the right thing moving forward, and instead of trying to court millennials, she tries to run to the right and get phantom moderate votes and supposedly liberal Republicans. Because in her mind, her 12 Republican buddies in Washington who are going to vote for her, she thinks that generalizes throughout the whole country. She thinks the establishment Republicans are indicative of average Joe Republicans across the country. That's not true. The Republican base loves Donald Trump. Only the establishment Republicans don't like Donald Trump. So you're barking up the wrong tree. You're not going to get any Republican votes. You're not. None of the Republican base is going to ever vote for you. You're Hillary fucking Clinton, the most toxic name in Republican politics. Yet you reach out to them anyway, and you say fuck you to your base. This is your train of thought? This is how you think you're going to fucking win? By running to the right when everybody's concern about you in the base was that you're too far right-wing. Look at what Donald Trump did. He did a fig leaf to the few, and I stress few, Ted Cruz supporters that were like, I don't know. He's like, okay, Mike Pence, how about that? He's an establishment guy, and he's a far right-wing, uber conservative Christian guy. There. Now you're all voting for me. They're like, yep. Hillary? Her base is like, fucking Bernie, your boss. Oh my God, we want these actual progressive policy positions. No more war, single-payer healthcare. Hillary says no to all that stuff. Then they're like, okay, throw us a bone. Elizabeth Warren, maybe VP. Sherrod Brown, something. Like, no, Tim Kaine. And by the way, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who rigged the primary against your candidate, she's now going to work for me. Tell me how my ass tastes. How is that? Yummy, right? Is that what it is? It's yummy. No, it's not. No, it's not. It tastes like ass. That's what it tastes like. So, I'm sick of this. I'm sure you guys are sick of this. She keeps spitting in the face of progressives. Do you have any idea how hard she's made it for Bernie Sanders? Now, look, I get it. I have no evidence for this because Bernie would say different in public. But I guarantee you guys, you don't think Bernie Sanders views Hillary Clinton like you do? Where it's like, no, where he looks at the policies and he's like, fucking kill me. I'm sure he does. So in his mind, I think the reason he's endorsing her is because it's lesser of two evils. That's as far as in his mind, that's as far as it goes. That's as much praise as he actually has in his heart of hearts for Hillary Clinton. Lesser of two evils, whatever, I guess I'll do it. So he's endorsing her because if he endorses Jill Stein, for example, you split the liberal vote and then you hand the election over to Donald Trump. He knows that. So it's like, if I endorse Jill, well, then Donald Trump wins, period. That's what's going on in his mind. So he's like, okay, lesser of two evils, Hillary Clinton. But think about how hard Hillary's making it for Bernie. Because at every turn, Hillary's basically going further right and making bad decisions, picking Tim Kaine, siding with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who outwardly was biased against Bernie. The whole DNC was biased against Bernie. Every decision she's making is like spitting in Bernie's eye. And he's like, ugh, fuck, but okay, yeah, you're better than the fucking orange-faced fascist. Okay, I'll go for you. But it shows you, again, the final point on this here, this shows you Hillary Clinton and how disconnected she is from the grassroots, from the base, from the American people. And it shows you that her arrogance and her hubris is infinite. So if you don't think that's a warning sign for the general election, you have no clue what the fuck you're talking about. It is. Be afraid.